very good morning to Mr. Lee and my friends. Today, my group, Tan Jinghua and Catherine Tiong, Ling, and I, Phan Chei, will be presenting on EDUP 3053 coursework task 3 group presentation on how to plan an online lesson based on the Assure model. Assure model, what is Assure model? Assure model is an instructional guideline that teachers can use to develop lesson plans which integrate the use of technology and media. So there are totally 6 steps in this Assure model. First is A, analyze learners and characteristics. Second, state objectives. Third, select, modify, or design materials. Fourth, analyze materials. Fifth, require learner responses. And sixth, evaluation. We'll put special attention to utilize material. Okay, next. So first is analyze learners. When a teacher need to plan an online lesson, we have to analyze our learners. For example, we need to get to know about their general attributes of learners. For example, their age, academics, abilities, gender, and interest. So for our lesson, our target audience is year 5 pupils, which are generally 11 years old. And it is also important to know about their prior competencies. In our lesson, the topic is year 5 unit 13 pollution task. They have to understand basic English language and science also, because our lesson will be focused on pollution, which relates both English and science. Okay, the third, we have to know about their learning styles, such as auditory students, visual, and tactile. It is important to cater every pupil's needs because of individual differences. Thus, teacher can provide auditory and visual elements in the online lesson, because according to Mayer's principle of multimedia, humans learn better when related text and pictures are included, rather than just text or pictures alone, as it stimulates more senses. Thus, the pupils will understand and remember easier. Okay, next is state objectives. We have to focus on what the learners will be able to do after the lesson, so that we can have a success online lesson. So as I said before, the topic of the lesson is Unit 13 pollution. So after the lesson, pupils should be able to define the definition of air pollution, land pollution, and water pollution. Also, our objectives can be used to assess the performance of pupils. We can state the objectives so that pupils will know what they will accomplish throughout the lesson. Okay, next will be further explained by my groupmate Tan Jinghua.
Okay, next we have our stage 3, which is select strategy, technology, media, and materials. Based on the learning objective, the teacher needs to pick the instructional strategy, technology, and media to achieve the objective of the lesson. And the teacher also needs to figure out when to use the teacher-centered and student-centered methods in the lesson. And in our lesson that we planned, most of the part is student-centered, where the student need to discover the meaning of the pollution by their own in the Google Classroom from the picture cards, while the teacher just work as the tutor to give guidance to help the students to understand the topic better. And there are activities given for the pupils to participate so that they will be more active and interested to learn the lesson. Next, we have the 4th stage, which is utilize the materials. In this stage, we stress on 5 Ps, which is preview the technology, media, and materials, where the teacher need to plan the lesson and test run it and make sure it will go smoothly. Next, prepare the technology, media, and materials, where the teacher need to gather all the things needed for the lesson. Prepare the environment, where teacher need to make sure that the learner have a comfortable environment to learn. Next, prepare the learners. The teacher need to tell the learners of the learning objective of the today lesson so that they have the idea of what they are going to learn today. And lastly, provide a learning experience where the teacher need to have every prior step of the process of the lesson in their mind. And in this stage, we have planned our lesson and try to run the lesson and see how the flow of the lesson. Next, we search for the materials needed for the topic, which are the flashcards, exercises, and enrichment activities from Quizlet and homework from quizzes. Then, we put all of our materials on the Google Classroom. We also plan that the student can use smartphone or computers to access to the online class. The objective of the class will be mentioned before we start our class. Next, we have 3 medias used in our lesson, which are the Google Classroom, Quizlet, and Quizzes. This is an online lesson of English Year 5, Unit 13, Pollution, and the platform used is Google Classroom, and the lesson content is from Quizlet, and our homework is getting from quizzes. This is Google Classroom, where it is a platform for our online classes, and we have the invite link for our audience to access to the Google Classroom and take a tour. Next, this is the flow of the class where the teacher stated the topic of today's lesson and stated the objective of today's lesson so that the students know what they are going to do today, and there are some simple instructions for the students to follow to complete the online class. And here is our classwork of English Year 5, where we have exercises, tests, and homework.
Okay, next, we will use Quizlet to deliver the lesson content on pollution. So there are several steps on Quizlet that helps pupils to learn online. First is flashcards, learn, write, spell, and test. There are also a few games such as match and gravity after they have learned the lesson in order to make them feel fun in the lesson. Okay, so next, step 1, flashcards. So there are flashcards of what they need to learn on lesson. So when they click on this flashcard pollution, they can see the definition of the words. Next, okay, if they don't want to click card by card, then they can look at the terms, the totally terms below it. There are totally 16 definitions of them that they need to learn. Okay, step 2, learn. After they have learned from the flashcards about the definition of the terms and pictures, they can learn they can reinforce their memory through this step. They can click on the text, and there's a pre-recorded audio which reads aloud for them, so that they can hear how do they sound like. And also they can, based on this definition, they can choose the correct term on it. Once they, for example, for this, once they click on it, the correct answer, it will show correct. Next, if they click the wrong answer, for example, this Quizlet will show that they are wrong and they have to relearn about it. They will give the correct answer. Okay, next. After they have learned through the definitions, Quizlet will show how much they score in this step. Okay, next.
Next, we have our third step, which is spell, where the student needs to click on the button to start the audio and type what they heard from the audio. And the fourth step is write. The students need to write the answer on the blank. And if they got the correct answer, the button will show correct. And if they got the wrong answer, the Quizlet will show the correct answer for the students. And if they do not know the correct answer, they can click on the Don't Know button, and the Quizlet will show the correct answer, and they can copy the answer and put it in the blank. After the exercise, Quizlet also will show their achievement throughout the exercise. And they can have a second round to improve their achievement.
Okay, so for the next step, step 5 is about tests. There will be 4 parts in this test. So the first part is written questions. And then the second part is matching questions. The third part is multiple choice questions. And the last part is true or false question. So after they completed all the questions, the student can check the answer by clicking the button check answers. And then the grade will show after they have checked the answers. So next one is a game, which is match. So this is the arrangement activity 1 in our lesson. So the students need to click start game to start the game. And then they need to match the relevant materials together. And beside there is the time taken will show while they are matching the materials. Okay, so the next is gravity. This is arrangement activity 2, which the student want to start the game, they need to click on the button get started. And they will come out a option, which the student can choose the option before they start the game. Okay, then after choosing the option, they can start the game. And then the word will come out. So the students need to give the definition of the word given. And after that, the correct answer will be given. So the next one, the platform we use is Quizy. So we use this apps to assign homework to the student. So there is the link to start the game and to start the quiz. So the student can answer the question given by clicking the answer. And after they have finishing the quiz, they will evaluate the performance of the student. So the fifth step of assure model, which is require learner participation. So in this stage, we have incorporate quizzes and homework to involve the students actively engage in the material that we are teaching. So the quizzes that we have created, we include pictures to attract the attention of the students. And by the way, the student can prepare question about pollution for further discussion in the class. So for example, the students can post questions in Google Classroom so we can discuss together. And through the participation in the lesson, the student can facilitate their level of understanding by completing the quizzes and the homework. And the last step is evaluate and revise. So after completing the lesson, we evaluate the impact of our teaching on student learning, whether the lesson is interesting or not. And we also evaluate the teaching strategy, the technology, media, and materials that we use. And then we evaluate on whether these online apps are suitable for the students or not. And we also focus on the feedbacks from our students. So the evaluation should match to the objective of the lesson, which we want the students to learn about the pollution from the lesson. And this is our references. And thank you.
Thank you. That's all from us.